PBT, profit before tax, stood at nearly 232 billion naira, representing a growth of 7.5% over 215.6 billion in the previous year, that being 2018. For more on this, we have Mr. Chika Mbonu, Arise business analyst, here to help us make sense of these numbers. You're welcome, sir. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Here we are again. Yes.
Earnings season.
Yes, earnings season. It's fresh season. Love
the
it.
Banks are pushing out their results.
Oh yes, the most active sector on the stock exchange. So, Mr. Chika, what do we have here? How do we make sense of these numbers that we're seeing from GTB?
Guaranty Trust Bank, lovely name. In office in London and 9 African countries. Of course, majorly in Nigeria. 2019 was an interesting year, challenging year for most banks in Nigeria because of the macroeconomic issues that we have continued to face.
Yes.
Gross earning for Guaranty Trust Bank was flat, as you have seen. There's literally no growth in the gross earnings. If you bid as it may, you'll find, as was done for the other banks, most of the banks struggled on the interest income levels. You will find that GTB just grew by 4% there.
Yes, I see that.
And interestingly, when we look at the balance sheet, you'll find that the loan book for GTB grew by 20%.
Okay.
Now, you would think, therefore, that if the loan book grew by 20%, that interest income will also grow proportionally.
Will also rise, yes.
But that tells you about the kind of environment that we're facing these days. Where a lot of the banks, as I said before, the opportunities in the fixed income segment, rates have crashed to even single digits. Even the corporate lending in Nigeria now is the lowest double digits.
Yes.
So you find the opportunities for higher margins is reduced.
Okay.
So even as the banks struggle to hold their cost of funds down, they still struggle at the net interest income level. Now look at the non-interest income level.
Yes.
Basically where you have the fees and the commissions. GTB grew by 9%. Again, similar to other banks in Nigeria,
yes.
we are profiled so far driven by the growth in electronic banking fees.
Okay.
GTB is one of the most efficient banks in Nigeria, as we'll see when we go down to the ratios, and that's how they held their expenses down and made a profit growth of 7.4%.
Okay.
Look at it this way.
Yeah.
Gross earnings grew by 0, and
profit was up by 7%,
yes.
so that's not
when
bad.
I look at the comparison with other banks, you will see an interesting ratio that's up here.
Okay.
And a GTB converts about more than 50%, of their gross earnings to profit before tax. The other banks were provided so far are not as as good as that.
As efficient.
Yes. Let's go to the balance sheet.
Balance sheet. Okay, let's take a look at the balance sheet now.
Let's go to the balance sheet. Guaranty Trust Bank has not been known for size. Has not been known for size. Among the
compared to those other giants.
Among the top 5 banks,
right?
Historically, Guaranty Trust Bank has always been the smallest in size, measured by total assets.
Okay.
But interestingly, again this year, they grew the total asset by about 15%, as you'll see it up there.
Okay.
Customer deposits grew by 11%.
Yeah, double-digit growth.
Yeah, double-digit. But as with other banks who are profiled also, look at the loan books. The gross loans grew by almost like 19-20%.
Right.
Similar to that of UBA, similar to that of Zenith. Again, the CBN policy of loan LDR has come into play here.
Lend.
You see that. Now, if we move to the other interesting things, as I keep saying in the program, that size is important.
Yes.
But the issue is, what do you do with your size? And that's where GTB always, beats all the other top 5 banks.
Okay.
When we go to the ratios. One of the first ratios that we look at is the cost-to-income ratio.
Okay.
Cost-to-income ratio. It basically says, in driving your revenues, how much do you spend?
Right.
So, for every 100 naira of revenue that GTB drives, it spends about, look at, measly 36 naira.
That's pretty. I remember, okay, we'll compare the others.
Measly 36 naira.
Yes, 36.
Now,
yes.
the other interesting thing, therefore, is, your investors, they have trusted you with their funds, their investment. How much do you return to them at the end of the period?
Right.
Look at GTB, there is 31. For every 100 naira investors give, notionally, they get about 31 naira at the end of the year.
That's
one other ratio that's very important I have to bring up here is the return on assets, average assets. Look at GTB, 5.6. You're big, your size. How do you sweat it?
Right.
GTB does it about, for every 100 of assets, they return about 5.6. This is the best in the banking industry in Nigeria today.
Impressive.
And of course, the net interest margin is good.
Yes.
And the capital adequacy ratio all within allowable levels. One other ratio that's important here is the MPL as usual.
Yes,
MPL.
I always ask you.
The MPL. You always ask me about the MPL. MPL. For GTB, you know, at the time, it was high, above 7%.
Okay.
You know, but they have worked it down to about 6.3% over this accounting period. And they guarantee that by the end of this year, they will bring it down to the statutory minimum.
Okay, okay. Well, as far as strengths and weaknesses, how do you rate the performance?
I mean, you know, when I talk about GTB, and people have asked me that question, yes. You know, what are the GTB strengths? What are the weaknesses? GTB is maybe the first bank in Nigeria that pushed electronic banking. You know, they were forerunner in electronic banking in Nigeria. Yes. And a lot of banks have tried to catch up with them. And so because of that, you know, they've gained the first mover advantage in everything they do. Simply, you know, test it. You know, if you mention star 737, right. You know, literally even school children know star 737. Right. You know, right. The other banks' owns are not as popular as star 737. That shows you that GTB has pushed that frontier. That initiative, you know, right. If you go to the NIPS, if you go to the other alternative channels, you find also GTB is very strong in that, in those. So strengths have been customer service excellence, okay. Electronic banking. I keep telling the executives that, you know, that I know you guys are very miserly when it comes to size. You want to remain nimble and small, yes. But they always tell me, even in my discussion with them during this week, I said, you just grew your total asset by a mere less than 10%. Right. You know, aren't you growing? Aren't you growing? You know, and so that's the issue. So I think you look at the screen now, you find the three banks. You know, for the banks that publish their results now, yes. You see Guarantee Trust Bank, UBA, and Zenith. Yes. Let's start from assets, okay. Total assets. Total assets, you find that, you know, Zenith is the leader. For the three banks that publish results now, 6.3 trillion. UBA is 5.6. Look at GT. 3.7 trillion. Right. So the size issue you've been talking about. Yes. You'll find that, GT is very small compared to Zenith and UBA. Yes. You know, if you look at customer deposits also, look at GTB 2.5 trillion. Yes. And the other ones 3.8 and that. 4, so 4.2. You find almost, you know, they're very small. Look at loans also. You find the gross loans of GT is 1.5 trillion. That's of UBA is 2 trillion, and then that. So you find on size, GTB is struggling. But look at the profit before tax. You know, look at profit before tax. You can see the... You can see. Zenith that's almost about... 2 times almost, the size. Yeah, of GT. Yeah. Look at the profit, 243 billion. Just 10 billion. Right, above GT. So really efficient. And then look at about... half of UBA is also larger than them. You know that. So you find that. But the interesting thing is that if you go to the next level, yes. next slide, yes. That talks about compares the ratios of the banks. Okay. Now look at what I was saying. Look at cost income ratio. Right. They are well known for managing their costs. For every 100 naira that GTB earns, it spends a measly 36 naira. UBA spends 63 naira. I remember you raised that when we looked at UBA. And Zenith spends about 49 naira. You can look at that. You raised that. Very, very efficient. Yeah, so it tells you, you know, and it's not surprising. For example, if GTB has about 400 branches, for example, yes. Zenith may have between 650 and 700. Each branch of Zenith has 2 or 3 generators. Right. That's a way of breaking down their costs. So you can imagine the cost. Yes. The fiscal location now. So it tells you now that GTB is pushing a lot of alternative channels. I may hazard the guess that I'm not sure that in the last 3 years, GTB has done more than about 3 or 4 new branches. So they've been pushing the alternative channels. And you know, alternative channels are cheaper than that. Okay. Yeah, even look at the other ratio. Look at the return on average equity. So if the investors of GTB give them 100 naira at the beginning of the year, they return 31 naira. It's pretty impressive. Almost double what look at UBA is doing. And then look at what Zenith also is doing. So this is where, so when I attack them, or when the system attacks them about size, yes. they point to these ratios and that they're nimble, they're well managed, and they're profitable, and the investors are happy. Yeah. So speaking of, that's actually my next question. As far as how you would see the markets responding to this, you think it would be positive? Yeah. It's been a good season for most of the banks because, you know, there's this ratio called dividend yield. Yes. Zenith came to about 12%. I think UBA came out about 14%. GTB hovering about 10, 11%. So this, if you compare that now to the even 5-year Treasury bills,
right,
which is about hovering about below 6%, you find that these banks are, that's why their shares actually hot demand, because they are returning better than anything you can get out there, even in the best risks in the market.
You mentioned something about, you're using an example in cost, the number of branches each one has, the generators. Do you see GTB probably leading the way in branchless banking? I know they're doing that overseas.
They're already doing that.
They're already there.
GTB started a lot of initiatives when it comes to the, even banking on wheels. You go to these branches where there's nobody, there. So GTB's alternative channels, GTB has been a leader. The USSD, which is at 737, was a forerunner in the market. So they are pushing a lot on the alternative channels. Fantastic. And that's what a lot of banks are also doing now. So and that's why you see all the banks were analyzed. You found that the growth in their electronic banking that
has been like a major driver.
Yeah, another driver.
And again, you think that will continue down the way?
Yeah, but I mean, I even as we're talking about this yesterday with the, I mean, this is going to be a challenging year for a lot of the banks. I think it's going to be a challenging year for banks because of macroeconomic environment
and everything else.
The issues happening in the world economy, oil prices, and so on and so forth. So let's just watch and see.
All right, business analyst Chika Mbonu, thank you so much for taking us through the numbers for GTB.
Thank you.